World in 80 Days. Chapter 14, The Rangoon. The Rangoon was as fast as the Mongolia, but not as comfortable for Aouda as Mr. Fogg would have liked. However, the trip from Calcutta to Hong Kong would take only 10 or 12 days, and Aouda was not difficult to please. During the first few days of the journey, Aouda became better acquainted with her protector, Mr. Fogg. She frequently expressed her deep gratitude for his efforts in saving her from a horrible fate. Mr. Fogg listened to her without the slightest apparent emotion, but he seemed to be always on the watch for her care and comfort. He visited her regularly each day, not so much to talk himself, but to sit and listen to her. He treated her with the strictest politeness. Aouda did not quite know what to make of him. Passepartout had given her some hints of his master's eccentricity. She had smiled when she heard of the wager that was sending the two men around the world. Detective Fix had managed to board the boat at the last possible moment. He had left orders that the warrant for Mr. Fogg's arrest should be forwarded to him in Hong Kong. He was hoping to conceal his presence on the Rangoon until the end of the voyage. All Fix's hopes and wishes were now centered on Hong Kong. The steamer would be stopping in Singapore, but the stay there would be too brief for him to arrest Mr. Fogg.
Now, either the warrant will be at Hong Kong, in which case I shall finally be able to arrest my man, or it will not be there,
thought Fix.
If it's not there, it is absolutely necessary that I delay his departure. I have failed at Bombay, and I have failed at Calcutta. If I fail at Hong Kong, my reputation is lost. Cost what it may, I must succeed.
As he puzzled over his predicament, Fix decided that he must make a confidant of Passepartout. He was certain that Passepartout was not Mr. Fogg's accomplice in crime.
I will tell him what kind of man his master is,
Fix thought.
When Passepartout finds out how Mr. Fogg really makes his money, the servant will fear being accused himself and become my ally.
But this strategy was risky, Fix realized.
One word of warning from Passepartout to his master, and all will be ruined.
There was no denying it. The detective was in a difficult position. One day, Fix emerged from his cabin and went on deck to get some air. Passepartout was walking up and down in the forward part of the steamer when Fix rushed up to him, faking surprise.
You, here on the Rangoon?
He said.
What, Monsieur Fix, are you on board?
Said the astonished Passepartout.
Why, I left you at Bombay, and here you are, on the way to Hong Kong. Are you going around the world, too?
No,
replied Fix.
I shall stop at Hong Kong, at least for some days.
Said Passepartout.
But why haven't I seen you on board since we left Calcutta?
Oh, a bit of seasickness. I've been staying in my cabin,
replied Fix.
And how is Mr. Fogg?
As well and as punctual as ever,
replied Passepartout.
Not a day behind time.
Passepartout went on to explain Aouda's presence among them, and Fix, as usual, invited Passepartout for a drink in the bar. Later that night, as he lay in bed, Passepartout puzzled over the strange coincidence that had kept Fix on the same route as his master. Passepartout wondered why this very friendly person, whom he had met at Suez and then encountered on board the Mongolia, now turned up unexpectedly on the Rangoon, despite having told Passepartout that Bombay was his destination. Was he following Mr. Fogg step by step? Passepartout was ready to wager that Fix would also leave Hong Kong at the same time as Mr. Fogg, and probably on the same steamer. Passepartout realized Fix must be an agent from the Reform Club. He must be a spy sent to make sure that Mr. Fogg really went around the world, as was agreed.
It's clear,
thought Passepartout, satisfied with his own shrewdness.
He has been sent to keep us in view. Mr. Fogg is such an honorable man. This is not the proper thing for them to do at all. Well, gentlemen of the Reform Club,
decided Passepartout,
this shall cost you dearly.
He was determined to tease Fix when he got the chance. On the afternoon of Wednesday, October 30th, the Rangoon, now half a day ahead of schedule, arrived in Singapore. Phileas Fogg noted this arrival in his journal and then walked ashore, accompanied by Aouda.
I spent the last 5 days on a steamer called the Rangoon, traveling from Calcutta to Hong Kong. This steamer wasn't as luxurious as it could have been, but it wasn't too bad. Steamers, also known as steamboats or steamships, are the most common type of boat in the world. They are used not only to carry passengers, but also to transport goods such as coffee, tea, silk, and spices. In fact, steamers have allowed global trade to increase quite rapidly since they were first used in the early 1800s. Today, steamers come in all shapes and sizes and sail on canals, rivers, and oceans. They can travel large distances cheaply and safely.